I'm going to do my best to not use the O word because I find it pretty offensive. So I'm going to use fat-bodied.
If you ever called me fat-bodied, I'd probably throw something at you.
I live on a 60-plus acre farm. Weeds are a really big issue. I would love some insight to share with my husband on what actually works.
If it was just the glyphosate in small amounts in farming, maybe it wouldn't be an issue. But it is the entourage effect of all the different things we're exposed to.
I'm not hearing any of you speak out about FND, Functional Neurological Disorder. So many children, people can't walk, people can't talk.
But let's even define functional neurologic disorder. What does that even mean? Hi, I'm Dr. Will Cole. Wellness is a sacred art, and you are the masterpiece. This is the art of being well. What's up, and welcome everybody to the Art of Being Well. About twice a month we have Ask Me Anything episodes where we answer your burning health questions. This is the latest one. I'm so excited. Every Ask Me Anything episode we have a giveaway for you all for a chance to win well, let me tell you what you could win first, I guess. You could win a free telehealth experience with us, a clinical case review where we look at your health history, your past labs you've had done in the past year, and provide you recommendations as far as functional medicine, telehealth care, protocol suggestions, as far as supplements, peptides, things that we would recommend to telehealth patients. We will give you a game plan for what we think and curate what we think it should look like for you. You could win that, the clinical case review, free signed books, either the Inflammation Spectrum, Intuitive Fasting, Ketotarian, or Gut Feelings, a signed book, and then I'll send it out to you. Or you can win a supplement protocol stack that we have at drwillcole.com, either the Art of Being Well supplement line, Longevity RX. It's all there. You can see the different protocols that we put together for you all that listen to the podcast. But it's born out of our clinical experience and seeing what we see improve telehealth patients' lives. So we have gut health support, Lyme, SIBO, hormonal support, nervous system support, all the things there. So for a chance to win, head on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review The Art of Being Well there. Tell us what you love about the pod. You could leave your Instagram handle in the Apple Podcast review itself, or you could take a screenshot of your review and message us on Instagram at the Art of Being Well _ and Brooke, or the amazing podcast director here, she will reach out to you. You can tell us what you want if you win, and we'll send it out to you or get you your telehealth clinical case review. All right. To submit your health questions, we get a menagerie. Is that the right word here?
Ooh,
it's like an
yeah.
eclectic myriad of different health questions. It could be health research that you saw in the scientific literature. It could be about your own health issues that you're wanting our clinical perspective on. It could be some like wellness trend that you saw on social media and you want our hot take on it. It could be anything, right? To submit those questions, it's a voice message, send it to us. Go to speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. That's speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. It's just a little voice message saying on SpeakPipe, give me the voice message, and then we'll get to as many of those in these Ask Me Anything episodes. All right, guys. So let's jump in. You know Andrea and Emily. They're on my clinical team. They're functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners. So what is the first burning health question?
Hello. I'm excited to play this one for you. This is from Jay. That's the name I got.
I've been following you and many other functional doctors for many, many years now, period. I feel like most chronic illnesses that aren't heard about or Western medicine doctors don't treat, you guys are always on the forefront, period. I'm not hearing any of you speak out about FND, Functional Neurological Disorder. Wondering if you have any knowledge on the subject. So many people are being diagnosed with it. I've had it since 2019. So many children, people can't walk, people can't talk. It's just becoming so widely diagnosed, and I'm not hearing anything about it and would love to learn more, period. I would love for someone like you to bring awareness to it because there's so many people who really need help.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I hear the heart of what her message is, right? She wants us to raise awareness around it. I also have to say, how much of our lives are online that we are due voice to text? My wife loves voice to text.
Yes.
And I think this is what this amazing human being thought, which, hey, look, maybe SpeakPipe will come up with voice to text at some point. We can read it. But, yeah.
That's
She was
what the
giving
period
punctuation.
was. Yes, I appreciate the punctuation.
I don't know for sure, but it seems like that was the context here. But it's actually your voice. It's not voice to text. But anyways, I got the heart of your message, and when someone's going through a heavy health issue, especially one that's not understood by conventional medicine, especially one that there's a lot of medical gaslighting, both unintentional and intentional. It's extremely isolating.
Yeah.
And that applies to a lot of what the world would call mystery illnesses, different autoimmune problems, and people that fall through the cracks and are never labeled, right? And they just want answers, right? I totally understand where she's coming from. She just wants to know she's not alone. And she's like, nobody's talking about this. But yet she's online with the sort of endless vortex of information, and she's hearing other people talk about their experiences. And no, there's more people like me. Why is nobody in the professional world talking about it? So let this be. If maybe not maybe the first time she's ever heard a health podcast talk about it. Emily picked this question to shed light on this for her.
Yeah.
And maybe provide you some hope and insight. Because these type of neurological problems are something that we see a lot.
Yeah.
But let's even define functional neurologic disorder. What does that even mean? Well, from a conventional medicine standpoint, it is just it's at this point, a diagnosis when everything else has been ruled out. So from a differential diagnosis standpoint, in the conventional setting, they will look at different neurological tests, blood tests, orthopedic tests, and rule out things like MS and Parkinson's. Because what are the symptoms? It's things like, it's very non-specific symptoms, but it's things like gait issues, tremor issues, vertigo, brain fog, fatigue. Differentially, that could be a lot of different issues. So they want to rule out things like MS and Parkinson's and muscular dystrophy and these type of problems that could be. Once they've ruled all those out, they label it, if just to think about what those terms mean, a functional neurological disorder. It's just saying there's nothing physically showing up on the labs, but you certainly have these symptoms. Unlike many other symptoms like fatigue and brain fog, you can't see them. So there's even more medical gaslighting around these type of issues. But when someone has gait issues, they're not walking properly.
Right.
If they have tremors, it's hard to gaslight those people.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're going through this. There's just everything comes back inconclusive on the conventional tests. So that's where functional medicine really does fill in the gap to prevent these people falling through the cracks of conventional medicine. Because that label is one thing. They can label it conventional medicine is going to have to come up with words and diagnoses codes for these mystery illnesses, because you are right. More and more people are creeping up with these problems. Because it's an inflammatory problem. Inflammatory problems are creeping up across the board. It's multifaceted. It's not going to just be one facet, one lab, one cause for everybody. It is a proverbial check engine light in this form, in this way, that we like to put labels and understand it with our little view of putting it in a box. But the diagnosis doesn't heal. The diagnosis doesn't bring healing in somebody's life. I understand people want answers, which we want to provide that to them too, but that's only part of it. Where it's like, what do you do about this label? Whether you're labeled or able to be labeled or not, whether you're able to be diagnosed or not from a conventional medicine standard, what does it really matter if you just have the label and no healing? So I would want to look at it from a functional medicine perspective. And so what is going on from a health history? What is from an environmental exposure? What is going on here? What is causing the neuroinflammation? That's going to vary from person to person. So there's no replacement for a thoughtful, thorough comprehensive health history and appropriate diagnostics to measure the inflammatory proteins, which they're not measuring these things largely in conventional medicine. No. They're scratching the surface. They're better than they used to be because they've kind of been forced to understand these sort of breadth of autoimmune and neuroinflammatory problems. But they're not looking at it, and certainly they're not looking at the things that are driving these inflammatory problems, like environmental toxins and like biotoxins like mold, like these man-made and even non-specific toxins like EMFs, like non-native man-made EMFs that some people, these have the genetic variants that are more sensitive to these things. These are also the people that they're diagnosed with things like multiple chemical sensitivity and fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. But just look at each one of those terms. Chronic fatigue syndrome. It doesn't tell you why you're chronically fatigued. Fibromyalgia, musculoskeletal fascia inflammation and pain. Well, what's causing those symptoms? So it's just a description of symptoms, a description of terms, and it's not saying why you have the problem in the first place. And certainly functional neurological disorder is even more ambiguous. It's just saying, look, this is a software problem, but not a hardware problem with the nervous system and the brain, but we don't know why. And I'm not saying functional medicine has all the answers for these chronic health problems. I'm just saying we have the most answers when you're dealing with this sort of chronic inflammatory spectrum that the world is seeing. And that's why mainstream institutions have functional medicine centers now. We're not this sort of siloed separate thing. It's because we are these clinical investigators where we can figure out what's going on. And again, not to say that we're God and we know everything, but we really are looking at what the scientific literature is looking at, like these other epigenetic things that I talked about, and why it could be manifesting in this way in these people. So I'm raising awareness. I want this podcast to be a platform for any type of chronic health problem that is misunderstood or not understood enough. So we're here for you if you want to reach out clinically. I'm sorry I don't have any more answers, but that wasn't the thing. She wanted it to be raised awareness. This is a problem. And it's based on somebody's health history and labs. So we want to look at the inflammatory component and what's causing the inflammation in short. It's more complex than that. But at the very least, that's what we need to do. And then curate a protocol based on those lab findings. And what works for one person may not be needed for the next person.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we wanted to say is that we hear you, we see you. And I love what you said, Dr. Cole, about just the fact that, especially when you're not getting a diagnosis, we've seen that frustration time and time again. And it's not that it's even invalid, right? Like, I understand the frustration of wanting to know what this is. What I think is so important that we always try to talk with our patients about is that we're wanting to understand the why. Where did this come from? Because even if you get that answer, what we need to do about it could look drastically different. And so I think that that's something that can bring relief to a lot of people, is we're taking it to a different level of understanding, because some people may not get that answer, right? Because this may not be something that is ever going to show a formal diagnosis, but that doesn't mean we can't find out why it's happening. And that's what I think can give people back a lot of hope, is that no, there's still something can be done about it. And so that's something that we really aim for.
Yeah, I actually just had a consultation this morning that it wasn't this particular issue, but she is experiencing symptoms of what they would classify as MS. But she's not meeting the classic criteria for a full diagnosis. They want to send her out for a spinal tap. They want to do a spinal MRI with contrast. They're like, well, you only have this one thing and not enough things. And I had to have this whole conversation this morning that that's okay that you're not progressed enough to give it a label. I said, I know that that's what most people are looking for is a label, because it makes them feel heard and understood. But sometimes that means the disease has progressed so far that you're actually able to get a diagnosis. Right. Like if you take Addison's, for example, you have to have 90% destruction of your adrenal glands for it to be classified as that. Hashimoto's, you have to have a TSH of over 5, both thyroid antibodies and symptomatic issues. Like that is a progressed disease state.
Yeah, and MS, to use that example, for it to show up in an imaging study, it's around 70% destruction of the myelin sheath.
Exactly. So when you're looking at these cases of people who are desperately seeking a diagnosis, it's typically because it's in the mainstream, and then it correlates with a medication or a surgery, or at least feeling like you're not crazy. In functional medicine, it's different. I'm hearing you before it's the disease state.
And when they are, but
exactly, it can be progressed. Absolutely, come to us. You have a diagnosis. That's what we're here for. What I'm trying to give hope to is this person who's like saying, but they're not talking about it. They're not giving me a specific thing to do. That's because you haven't progressed enough in your disease state for that to be something that they can do about. But that doesn't mean there's nothing you can do about it.
Correct.
And so it's almost a good thing when it's that state, because we haven't progressed so far, and sometimes remission and symptom management is easier. I'm not saying that it's not, so don't feel like you have a lack of hope. We have a lot of patients that are diagnosed and have spent decades dealing with a diagnosis.
Correct, yeah.
What I want to speak to are the people who feel like you need this classical diagnosis
in order to improve,
to improve, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Because whether it's progressed or not, and diagnosable or not, you still have to look at the root of why it was happening in the first place. And that's what you guys just both talked about was, well, why are you here? What caused this inflammatory issue in the first place? The progression doesn't matter. The root is still the same.
Yeah.
And so working backwards is where you go, where we need to go, not necessarily looking at the symptom bed of issues that we are seeing. Obviously, we want to help you feel better. Knowing and understanding those pathologies is important. But if we don't understand why, you're in the same loop, just with a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's three main stages on this autoimmune inflammation spectrum. And let's just be a little bit more ambiguous. We're assuming there's an autoimmune component. There may not be.
There may not be.
But so an inflammatory spectrum, there's silent inflammation, meaning you've ran labs, the labs come back, there's some markers off, but the person feels fine. That's rare, right? I mean, unless someone's screening for something or being proactive with labs and you may find something. The stage 2 is the inflammation reactivity. It's like yes, there's positive markers, but they're not checking all of conventional medicine's boxes, like Andrea kind of said with her consult this morning. And they're certainly symptomatic. That's where a lot of these people are, is phase 2. They are like, let's label them with things like functional neurological disorder, but it's not, there's no lab
Chronic
to show
fatigue.
this.
Yeah,
there's no lab to show anything in conventional medicine, but yet when we look at the proper things, what are the proverbial stones that are most likely to have something underneath it that doesn't determine pharmaceuticals, doesn't depend on this conventional system, it's independent of the system, but it informs us the mechanism of action of what's going on here so you can address it. And then phase 3 is the actual diagnosable chronic health problem. But that's about 4 to 10 years prior to that diagnosis that things are kind of brewing. And not to say that everyone with functional neurological disorder or any type of these problems are all going to end up being something else. They may not be. There's many people that stay in that phase 2 for the rest of their lives. They're symptomatic, they're not given many answers, and they kind of have to fend for themselves.
But those are the people that are normally emptying their bucket as much as possible. They're making lifestyle changes. They're taking supplements. They're seeing a personal trainer. They're trying to empty their bucket at least to symptom manage. But you're right. They're never addressing the root cause.
Right.
And really, we just talked about that from an autoimmune spectrum, but that's really, we see that on all different types of cases. It doesn't just have to be a diagnosable autoimmune condition. It's really, well, do you really have IBS, or did you have, signs of this 15 years ago when you thought it was normal to go to the bathroom every other day, only one time? Like, there's these things that we just have to dig into, and that's why the historical information is just as important as the current.
Absolutely. We have to paint the picture. So, all right, next question.
Let's go for it.
All right, so this is from Rachel.
Hello, huge fan. My sister and I are obsessed with you guys. Question I have for y'all is, I live on a 60-plus acre farm in Georgia, and we are slowly growing our homestead. And one big argument in my house is about and around weed killer and what to spray our property with. I'm slowly getting my husband on the crunchy train, and we're going to be doing regenerative farming as far as our cows go, and just the whole homestead. But weeds are a really big issue, and I've gotten my husband to try a couple different things around the house, but really, as far as spraying the fields and the yard, it's hard to find something that actually takes care of what needs to be taken care of. We have 2 young kids. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, so it's really important to me that we don't have anything bad in the yard. He is not using glyphosate, but I know that other herbicides are terrible as well. So I would love some insight to share with my husband on what actually works and that we can use. Okay, thank you. Love the show.
Thanks. That sounds fun. We need to go hang out with
I
her.
was literally thinking the whole time, I was like, can we come visit? Like,
Yeah, Georgia Regenerative Farm
Yeah, I
Homestead.
love
60
that.
acres,
Yeah.
like cows. Can I pet them?
Yeah,
Like,
I
can
think
I
I'm
hang out
sure-
with
Put
them?
us to work.
Yeah, put us to work.
We would be like the Paris Hilton and Nicole
100%.
Richie, like me and you, and like overalls with
Absolutely.
like.
I'm there for the vibes and the good time. I'm gonna dress the part. Don't get me wrong.
Well, hey, I don't want to like flex my farm muscles, but I did grow up.
I'm done.
I'd be no use to you. I'm joking wholeheartedly.
I was gonna say, last time we had a bonfire, I'm pretty sure me and Andrea started
you
the
did.
bonfire.
You did.
Yeah.
And I was sipping my whatever.
Your
I was sipping.
LaCroix. No,
The truth comes out. The truth comes out.
well, Emily and I are like kind of riding a high of our like backyard garden and acting like we homestead.
Yeah,
So
we don't do that.
no, I want chickens. I want baby cows, but here we
Okay.
are.
All right, so let's talk about it. Look, if you're wanting to phase towards regenerative farming, to use that term, regenerative, certainly organic, which is even more regulations, you can't use conventional herbicides and pesticides. So I don't know how far you want to go down that road, but the soil is going to have to heal, depending on what that farm was used before they bought it. My brother-in-law is a regenerative farmer, so it's like I know that the land takes time to heal. And if you're buying a farm that was farmed conventionally, it's going to take time, years to repair that. Now, if you're just thinking, okay, this isn't like a professional farm, you're just talking about your family and growing your food, and it's just, you just want to go by regenerative principles, then I still would say we want to start to swap out for effective, but things that would be natural and not be harmful to the soil and to the earth, and not too harmful to you and your family and the animals. So there's limited scope because I'm not a farmer, right? We should get a regenerative farmer to know like the actual effective things, because there's herbicides and pesticides that are natural that work on the surface but don't get deep in the roots. It depends on what you're farming. Some things are going to not be effective depending on what you're growing. But there are a lot of DIY and a lot of people that I do know that are homesteading, that have regenerative farms that do a lot of these DIY or buy brands that are, depending on how scaled the farm is, I don't know how much you have to buy, but if we're talking just small scale family homestead, nothing like en masse, like you're not selling products as a regenerative farm, you can make things like vinegar, salt, Castile soap essential oils like oil, wintergreen, clove essential oil, that you can do like small garden herbicides and pesticides using these type of ingredients. And maybe we can put it in the show notes, like Brooke, we could put maybe some examples at drwillcole.com of like a DIY that work on desiccation, right? They don't go into the roots and kill the plant at the root, but they dry out the plant and kill it that way, which may be effective enough for a small scale situation there. And then there's amazing brands. There's Spruce is a non-toxic weed killer, herbicide, pesticide company. Sunday, I actually had the founder on the podcast a few years back. They're doing great things. They're in Target.
Yeah, it's what we use.
Oh, really? Okay, I had the founder on a few years ago, and they're doing cool things. And like his story is, we can put that in the show notes too. That they use essential oils and these other plant compounds. Like some of them will use chelated iron, which is just iron, but you're
Yeah.
spraying it on the plant, so the plant takes up excess iron and kills it that way, which does work upon roots, a
Yeah.
root system, which I think, but it's a natural option there.
Mm-hmm.
Even diatomaceous earth is used in gardening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with animals, it's used for both.
Yeah, so diatomaceous earth, we use like the food grade in protocols for people to clean up their gut microbiome, but you can use diatomaceous earth like in a gardening sense to help the soil microbiome.
Yeah, and it's safe for animals, which
yeah.
is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Natria is another brand. I have no connection to these brands. There's brands that are using these sort of plant compound essential oils, more or less, to get the job done. Now, the question is, like, I haven't, like, A/B test because I'm not a farmer. Like, how effective is the conventional versus the natural? I don't know that. But I do know these brands are very effective, and they get the job done on a small scale.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're growing to see the extent of what you need and the demand of what you need. But that's not a problem. You look at people like Joel Salatin, my brother-in-law at Heal Farms. They're doing amazing things on scale using natural products, or
Yeah.
sometimes nothing. Like nothing. Just let the land do the land thing. And you don't have to weed. It's such a Western mindset, an American mindset, that we need these curated lawns, and there's no biodiversity in our grass, and we want it to look like a golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not natural. That's not good for our bees. It's not good for our animals. It's
Yeah.
not good for us. We
Yeah.
need this, and it's not good for the soil we need this biodiversity.
That's how we feel. We don't use anything, and we also have little kids too, so that's important for us. Like, I want my kids to run out in the grass barefoot. Like, I love it, but so we don't use anything.
Yeah, and the bees need these plants.
I'm really particular. We have a relatively smaller front yard, but a much larger backyard. I let my husband use the Sunday on the front yard if he wants the neighbors not to think that we don't keep up with our lawn and all our dandelions. But the backyard, I actually don't mind the weeds. I love seeing the little bumblebees, and I feel like I'm doing my part for like humanity and nature and my garden and all the things I have growing back there, because I can't control what all my neighbors are doing, but I can control my yard. And what's wrong with the weed? The entire time I'm sitting there, I'm like, but why do we need to get rid of it? Like, what's it impeding upon? Is it just an actual visual thing, or is it impeding upon what your growth is? And is
Andrea
it truly
actually talks to her weeds
I do.
sometimes?
Probably do.
She's friends with them.
I am.
But yeah, we label things weeds, but they're just plants.
They're just plants.
They're just plants where you don't want them.
Yeah, exactly. And then my question was, is it really even regenerative farming if you are spraying? Like,
Yeah.
True.
Like, I'm
That's a
not
good
talking
point.
natural stuff, but she's saying that they're using herbicides. Like, if I was at a farmer's market and they had it listed as regenerative and I found out they used herbicides, I wouldn't consider that a regenerative farm.
Yeah, well, it depends the type, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what is classic, and that's why knowing your farmer is so important to know,
Yes.
because these are terms that are ambiguous, that aren't really regulated and with standardized. And I would love to change that, not to make it difficult for small farmers with more stifling, suffocating regulations, but to at least have some standardization across the board, where it's like we can agree on it's at least this.
Yeah, or like at the end of the day, I don't really care if you do that, but just make it known, just transparency.
Well, that's why shopping local when you can is helpful,
It's the
because you
best,
can
yeah.
ask, hey, what do you do?
Yeah, and I do.
You may have a natural herbicide that the farm is using, and the next person may use nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's the same with even when we buy a half a cow from our local farms. Like, what are you feeding? Obviously we live in Western Pennsylvania, so they can't be grass fed year round sometimes. But so what are you supplementing with? Like, is that feed treated? Like, all the questions that you can ask that you can't go to your local grocery store and ask.
Yeah. So if you need 3 mildly effective farmhands,
Call us up.
Maybe we'll come record a part
And we'll
podcast
have
there.
a good bonfire. That's what we will have.
yes, and I will be drinking that LaCroix. Okay, so, and then I guess there's a good segue here is that at the time of recording this, there's a lot. She mentioned glyphosate in her
Yes.
question. So I need to talk about this. This is really important because there's a lot of things happening in the news. People are hearing about it. I'm posting about it on social media, but I wanted to have a conversation on it because it's an interesting time in American political history when it comes to this sort of entourage of different legislations on a federal level and some on a state level of legal protections, immunity shields, legal shields against manufacturers of glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup, this herbicide that she was saying her husband doesn't use. But what's happening here, let's give the breakdown of it all, because I think it's an important conversation, and I want get people to get involved and where they can. First thing is that it's happening, it's multi-pronged. There's things happening on a state level and a federal level. It's happening through executive orders for the president. It's happening with the Farm Bill. It's happening with lots of different Supreme Court at the end of April or so. It's when they may push it back, who knows. But at the end of April, the Supreme Court's going to be ruling. There's a concerted effort by Bayer, who bought and acquired Monsanto, the manufacturers of glyphosate, to be protected under law. And you will not be able, as a consumer, be able to sue them if, God forbid, you believe that something happened to you. And there are thousands upon thousands of state cases of people saying, I got cancer when I used this product with this herbicide. And it's basically would make all state legal cases void because they would be protected with these immunity legal shields happening on a federal level. So you can tell Bayer smart because they're working on it not in just one way. They're going through the Supreme Court, they're going through executive order, they're going through state cases to try to protect themselves. And this is similar. Monsanto also made Agent Orange during Vietnam, working through the Department of Defense and protecting themselves that way. It's the same playbook from the same multinational corporations. And we're just saying, okay, I know the farming industry, the farming world depends on masse from a food standpoint, these chemicals, not just glyphosate, but many types of chemicals, right? So it is, I am not of the camp to say we're going to ban all these things and we have to go completely green overnight and that's the only way. It's all or nothing. We have to be pragmatic about this and talk to farmers, talk to people that are environmentalists, talk about what does the off ramp look like? What does us winding this down over years and years look like? That's the problem that I have, is that from a consumer protection standpoint, people should have their day in court if they feel like and let the evidence fall where it may. And to say that you cannot sue these people if you feel like you've been harmed is ridiculous. It's un-American. And the government is protecting multinational foreign corporations and not its own people. That is a problem. And I want them to talk as politicians. What's the long-term plan? We know we can't cut this off overnight, but can we have an off-ramp conversation? If you're saying this is needed now and you inherited the current system that depends on these chemicals, I get it. But it sounds like they're really married to the system and they have no plan of off-ramping anything. Because this is tied to the whole MAHA, Make America Healthy Again conversation, where people like myself that like some of the initiatives that MAHA is doing, we're not going to get behind someone doubling down on it from an executive branch standpoint or Congress or the Supreme Court trying to protect these foreign companies that have problematic, toxic ingredients that national, international institutions like the World Health Organization, which by no means is green and crunchy, it's pretty much owned by Big Pharma and Big Chem. Even they admit that glyphosate is probably carcinogenic. That was their conservative term. So if the WHO, if World Health Organization is calling glyphosate probably carcinogenic, we can err on the side of, it's an issue. And look, the argument by the EPA, our own United States Environmental Protection Agency, is that it's not likely carcinogenic. We have to ask why. I mean, what I've heard is that the EPA is filled with the most lobbyists ever, but it's the same revolving door. This isn't about the current administration. This is every administration, no matter which party you're on. They don't do much to do anything about what's happening in our environment and with our chronic health problems, of which it's intimately tied to. because their point, the EPA's point is, well, people aren't like guzzling glyphosate. They're getting small amounts of it. So it's not an issue because it's small amounts. But if it was just the glyphosate in small amounts in farming, maybe it wouldn't be an issue. But it is the entourage effect of all the different things we're exposed to. So we have to look at not these things in isolation because they're not in real life happening in isolation from the chemical exposures that people are accumulating over the course of somebody's life. That is a ridiculous concept, and that's how they get around it. Well, glyphosate in small amounts, well, we have to look at the context of everything that we're exposed to on a daily basis, from the foods that we eat, from the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the products we're using in our home. This is an issue. So we have to start making dents and protecting our people. That's my take on it. So I don't care who. I can celebrate wins wherever they're at, and I can call things out wherever they're at. And this is an issue. So April 27th, we're having a rally outside of Supreme Court, at the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C., called The People versus the Poison. So come there if you can, because this episode will be going out a few weeks before that. So you can go to, we'll put the link in the show notes, but just Google The People versus the Poison, and you can sign up. We want to know how many people are coming, but many people in the health world, environmental world, and activists, the activist world, like food activists, are going to be there to really hopefully make changes here. The Farm Bill is one of those things where there's different amendments out there. I think it's Amendment 51. And by the time this airs, I think Congress, unless they push it back, may have just voted on this Farm Bill, which again is another layer of protection. Unless they get this Amendment 51, I think is what they're trying to do, is saying, okay, have the Farm Bill. We need this from a budgetary standpoint. It kind of, they just need it from a financial, it goes to 2031, I think, funding a lot of USDA farming, SNAP program. It's dependent on this Farm Bill. Okay, great. The system is what it is. It's still promoting ultra-processed foods. We're not really changing much at all. But at the very least, I think it's Amendment 51 is saying, let's take out the immunity shields from manufacturers of glyphosate. American people should at least be able to be protected under consumer protection laws. So I know that's long-winded, but it's tied into all of this. It's a current event that's really intersection between public policy and individuals' health. But it starts with voting with your dollars. And to dovetail off of this person's question, to promote and support brands, buy brands that are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because you can't go be at the Supreme Court maybe, or we're not in Congress to make all these changes, but we can support brands that are doing the right thing and to be empowered on an individual basis.
I just want to make a quick statement on this, because I think this is really important, because this is part of our intake of what we ask questions and what you live by and all of that. While the farming is one point, and that's what they're making that argument, it's such a small amount, it's this one time, this one thing, this one increase. But there was that JAMA study that I think within the last few years that it increases your risk of Parkinson's by 2.2 amount, but I think it equals 126%. It's 126% increase of Parkinson's disease when you live within a mile of a golf course. They're not just spraying glyphosate on those golf courses. They're not just putting that. There is a reason they are always green. There is a reason they look the way that they do. And it is the sheer amount of herbicides and pesticides and the different things that they're using. And that's if you just live near it. And that's one source. We're not talking about food. We're not talking about your public water. We're not talking about what you're spraying on your personal lawn, what your kids are playing on when they go to their sports events. We're not talking about every single thing that you encounter. Over 700 different products is what glyphosate is sprayed on. National parks, sporting fields, food, farming. I mean, it's insane. And if you look at these increased risk of these really serious disease pathologies in these studies, like the World Health Organization, that was in 2015. That's not even recent. That's 11 years ago that they even made that statement.
Yeah, and they're silent on it. I mean, these people no one wants to come against these corporations. They're going to do the safe pharma chem route every time.
But that's my point. This
Yeah.
isn't new information. This isn't something that we are just now finding out about. In fact, these studies are there. They
It's
are
there, yeah.
presenting the facts.
Well, now
It's
all
just-
you need to do, and again, is there going to be studies done on this when there's that much conflict of interest and they cherry pick data left and right? All you have to do is look around. All you have to do is look around at the level of infertility, autoimmune
Yeah.
problems.
Yes.
And look, they're tying it, like the president, the White House, executive branch, many people within Congress, they are tying this into national defense and our food supply, right? Our food supply depends on these chemicals, and they're tying organophosphates to national defense. I'm thinking like bioterrorism, something like that, where we just need these, and they're used for different things, right? They're not just used for
Yeah.
glyphosate. These
Yeah.
organophosphates are used for many things from a national defense standpoint. Okay, look, that's beyond our scope.
Yeah.
But if we're that dependent on chemicals these toxic chemicals for national defense, how important is it for us to defend our country if we're all having cancer, infertile, with autoimmune conditions? Like, we have to, this is ridiculous. Like, is there a better way? Is there a middle ground? And I'm not saying overnight, I'm saying down the road.
Yeah.
This is not sustainable. From an environmental standpoint, it's not sustainable. From a human health standpoint, it's not sustainable. So yes, maybe we have to make the deal with the chemical devil in the short term, but what is a long-term plan? And there's nothing about making America healthy again when you're dependent on these
Yep.
multinational corporations. There's nothing
100%.
American, and there's nothing healthy about it. So that's my thoughts on it. But to Andrea's point, we look at labs all day long. It's shocking to
there.
us how many people have glyphosate coming out of their urine. There's not a healthy amount of herbicides coming out of someone's pee.
Nope.
So let's not normalize this stuff. Now, is it going to be an issue for everybody right away? No. You can have it coming out and their body's just clearing out. The body's brilliant, created to clear junk out all the time.
Yeah.
But is it healthy to be accumulating that over the course of your life? Your body's having to push this stuff out, right? I mean, this doesn't take a randomized control trial, guys. This just takes some common sense.
Yep.
Another thing that's exciting in all of this, in addition to people versus the poison, we have bipartisan acts like Congressman Thomas Massey from Kentucky and Congressman Pingree from Maine, a Republican and a Democrat. There's multiple Republicans and Democrats that have co-signed this No Immunity for Glyphosate Act, I think is the official term for it. That's just saying no. This executive order that the White House put out that's saying we need to protect this and no one can stop. We need to up production of glyphosate, not decrease it, and they need to be protected. They're saying no. This is not no matter who you are as an American, this isn't okay. So support these guys that are doing the good work too. All right. We have a health hot topic that the people want to know what our take is. So I didn't see this until you shared it with me. Actually, your twin sister shared it with me.
She sure did. I know. She was like, you have to talk about it.
Okay, so I haven't heard about this, and then you shared it with me, and it is, let's set it up for people, okay?
Okay.
Jillian Michaels, who's the fitness trainer. I met her briefly a couple months ago at an event. Super nice. Actually, I was on her podcast years ago, but I had never,
long time
like
ago.
2018, I was on her podcast, but we don't know each other. Interestingly, we both had the same literary agent since 2016 or something like that. Heather Jackson. Shout out to Heather Jackson. So we have our worlds intersect. Anyways, Jillian Michaels was doing this thing that people do. What's it called? A Jubilee?
It's a Jubilee debate, essentially.
It's a Jubilee debate. So let's set the stage for people that I'll put the link in the show notes because it's wild. It's like there's a person at the center, and then they're surrounded
20 people.
They're all the people that are around them, 20 people that disagree with the person at the center of the
Correct.
circle.
So it's 1 to 20.
It's 1 versus 20.
Okay.
And this one's about Jillian Michaels versus the body positivity movement. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
So let's see a clip.
Yeah.
And let's get our take on it.
Okay.
You guys want to come around?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to put the mic on here.
Is that obesity is not healthy and pretending it is puts lives at risk.
If you want to be the first debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Edie.
Nice to meet you,
I'm an
Edie.
eating disorder
Hey,
therapist. I'm going to do my best to not use the O word because I find it pretty offensive. So I'm going to use fat-bodied as we talk.
Okay.
Do you understand why people find it harmful and triggering?
Overweight and obese is literally just having too much body fat. It has nothing to do with the quality of the person.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Are we going to debate the claim?
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Gonna,
Yeah, I wanted to clarify though the
are we
language.
going to pretend like I'm a 3 and you're my mommy, telling me how to talk?
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
So the claim that you're saying is that it is inherently unhealthy to live in a fat.
Okay. Is that all we're going to play right now? Yeah. Wow. So that goes on for quite a bit. But
So this is the term, we're debating the term here.
So
right?
she goes, and Jillian Michaels, I guess this is how they all work.
Mm-hmm.
They all have to state a claim, and then they have to debate it, right?
Correct.
Okay, so the claim was obesity is unhealthy. Mm-hmm. And, okay, they shouldn't even get to that. But it was true that this woman that ran to the center because she wanted to debate her wanted to school her on the term, right? I mean, it was right out of the gate. Right out of the bat. It's like, I'm going to smugly patronize you and say you shouldn't use this term because you're just not like progressive enough to know that they no longer, this at least according to this person, no longer thinks we should no longer use the word obese. We should use the term fat-bodied.
Well, it's a medical term. It's literally not. It's not a derogatory or offensive.
We need to make a reel out of this, a clip. I want to know in the comment section, if you're watching this whole on YouTube, I want to know in the comments, would you rather be called fat-bodied or obese?
Obese.
But there were so many comments that were saying.
I mean, you had to pick.
There were so many comments though that were saying, "How is that the less offensive term?"
I would never want to be called fat-bodied. I wouldn't be called obese either. But one's a medical term.
I was just gonna say one is a descriptive term of like your actual medical records would reflect.
Yeah.
No doctor is gonna write fat-bodied on your clinical report.
No, and it doesn't even help the debate either. Like it wasn't proving anything towards the claim.
Right.
Because
she just wanted to set the stage.
Wanted to set she wanted to stir the pot a little bit. And sure, she obviously really feels that way. But that,
because she's like, do you understand why? Do you understand why? Like, you're not as woke as me. Do you understand why? It's so, I mean, this is why these people turn everybody off.
It's the same damn thing.
But look, these are the people that came at me. Every freaking book that I've written. I mean, they are like some of the meanest people in the world. For a community that should be all about
positivity.
Virtue signals about self-compassion and compassion. They are the most intolerant group of people I've ever seen in my life.
So can we just get something clear right now?
One of them. Let's not be extreme. There's quite a bit. But they're on the top 10 list for sure.
Can we I do want to make this very clear. This is a sensitive subject for someone who does have body dysmorphia, eating disorders. We are very, very aware of that. Mm-hmm. In fact, we are so cognizant that we sometimes won't even talk about nutrition at first because we don't want to create more shame, more fear, more control around food for people. So don't come at us. This is not us perpetuating eating disorders. This is purely about health. And that is what Jillian's point was.
Yeah, this isn't a moral indictment on who you are.
No.
Like having a metabolic disorder, I wonder if that term's allowed. Having a metabolic derangement, they'd love that even more. These are all clinical terms. Having high insulinemia, hyperinsulinemia, having high fasting glucose, having high triglycerides, being a pattern B on a cardiometabolic panel, having high inflammation levels, it doesn't make you a bad person, but it doesn't make you healthy either.
No, and it doesn't make you not pretty, not desirable, not lovable,
not worthy of all the good things in the world that God created you to be.
But it does make you unhealthy.
Yes.
Right.
It does. And that can lead to more damage too. I think that's the problem is no one's saying that you shouldn't love yourself. But we are saying that if you don't do something about this, that the longevity of what is desired, resiliency, absolutely can be lost.
And that doesn't mean if we all ate the same way and we all were metabolically healthy, we're still going to all be different sizes.
100%.
Yes.
I mean, let's just play the other side of that coin. How many thin people do we have that are extremely unhealthy? And I don't look at them and say, you're doing such a good job because your pants fit.
Right.
No.
They're skinny fat-bodied.
Oh, wow.
I just came up with a new term. And that's what we're now calling it now. Didn't you know that?
But that's my point. Like, being unhealthy is being unhealthy at any shape or size. And if you really cared about people, you'd care more about their health, the longevity of their life, the quality of their life than the way that they look. And the fact that you want to identify more with being called fat-bodied than healthy is a problem.
Yeah, and I thought, to be honest with you, go on. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that I think something that's important to recognize if you watch that video is most of those people in that movement for that debate were women. Well, women are most likely the ones who have the autoimmune diseases too.
And with fertility issues,
PCOS, endometriosis, like
brain fog, fatigue, painful periods, like this. We talk to the people that are going through this, and I've actually talked to some people that were very prominent in the body positivity movement, and they can't even speak up that they want to get metabolically healthy. That's why people like Lizzo get skewered when they lose weight, because it's like that's a badge of honor, And there's if it was a lab to measure the level of somebody's sanctimoniousness, these people would be off the charts because and virtue signaling levels, they'd be hyper virtue signaling in their bodies because it's just all vapid virtue things. People want to be healthy. People want to feel good. If you feel good in your body that's fat and your labs look great, then God bless you. Be all you want to be.
Yeah.
But there are many people that don't feel good in their body. They're in pain. They're uncomfortable. They have metabolic problems. They have fatigue. They have brain fog. That is not a life that's vibrant. I want them to live the life that they were created for, not kept back. So I'm not saying there's not different sizes, and we should have acceptance for different sizes.
Yes,
that's not what I'm talking about. But them overcorrecting from toxic diet culture and then creating another equally toxic body positivity movement. I thought that movement was dead once Ozempic came on the scene, to be honest with you. Everyone was talking during COVID about body positivity. Then Ozempic came out, and apparently everybody wanted to be thin over time. Apparently there's still diehards out there.
There are.
And this Jubilee
They
debate,
found them.
there's a small group, militant group, still there. They've lost a lot of colleagues during Ozempic era.
Oh, 100%.
Because they were so big about being big until Ozempic came out.
Well, and too, we didn't play this part, but there was one person too that, of course, brought up the Maha movement and was like, "You're just saying this because you're for that, and they're taking all of our SNAP benefits away." And it's just like, well, first of all, do your research. But second of all, like it always has to be brought back to those different things, and it's like, no, the Maha movement, it's not even just about that. We're literally just caring about people's health.
Right, and I'm pretty sure Jillian Michaels isn't taking away their SNAP benefits.
No,
it's like a strange argument to make. She's a fitness trainer.
How many times, and we see this all the time when we have a consultation with someone, if weight loss is a goal, it's actually something that I say, hey, we're going to honor this for you, but being healthy is more important, and your weight will land where it lands.
This is not, for us in the functional medicine world, it's actually not even, the biggest loser. It's not in our world.
No, not at all.
We want somebody to get healthy to lose weight, not try to lose weight to get healthy. We realize that weight loss resistance is just a check engine light of the body's telling us something. So I don't care about somebody's size.
No, I don't
I care
either.
about someone's metabolic health, which the weight can be an indicator of that poor metabolic health. But not always, as Andrea mentioned, there's many people that are, the new term, skinny fat-bodied.
Yeah. And to me, it's at the end of the day, it's like, I want to honor it. But if you actually dig into those questions, most of the time, the people who have weight loss on there, it's someone that wants to feel good in their skin. They want their clothes to fit. They don't want to be bloated all the time and in pain and tired after they eat. The heart of it is yes, they want to feel good and look good, but it's not the driving force. Even if on paper it's what they're writing.
They want to feel good and let the weight fall where it may. Some people are obsessed with weight, and we correct them on this. We're retraining their brain around that. It's this is not the goal, because toxic diet culture is an issue. Where it is thinness at all costs. Let's macrodose Ozempic. Let's starve yourself. It's that whole dieting culture. This is just the new era of it, with GLP-1s taken and abused. My wife was watching. And I have no, if I was watching it, I would watch it, and I have no problem with saying that in my masculinity. But she was watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yes.
And one of the girls on there, when I walked in, she said she was addicted to Ozempic.
Oh, is this? I saw this. There was an article about this.
Yeah,
she's very, very thin.
Very thin.
Yeah.
But I appreciate her honesty, because it's probably a real issue than we know, of people that are thin that just can't come off of that tirzepatide.
Yeah,
Or
because
that Ozempic.
because then if their weight goes up at all, they start to begin to panic. So to me, this is not a fat or skinny
No, that's the
skinny
problem.
issue. It's not the problem. It's the health.
Because that's not healthy either.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not.
And your weight, your body is going to change. It's going to change as you age. It's going to change as you go through stress. It's going to change. But like, you have to love it and meet it where you're at. You cannot beat your body into submission.
Yeah.
And so that's really important to understand, is that if you are experiencing weight loss resistance, the question still begs itself as to why.
Yeah, you can love yourself, but also not identify with your illness.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we want to teach people and retrain their brains around, is that a lot of times when we're dealing with sick people, sometimes, especially if you've been sick for a long time, it can be easy to start identifying with that, right? And not to say that, you know, there isn't any validity in that when that's what you've known for so long, but we have to retrain the brain
And
too.
I also think some of it is they're so scared that it's never going to change. So they create this as, I'm okay with it. This is just who I am. And it's like, are you? Or are you just so scared that you're not going to be able to fix
Yes.
it? Either because of feeling like you don't have willpower, or you haven't been heard, or you don't have the energy to. Do you really like that? Or are you just an acceptance of it because you're too afraid of what the other side looks like?
Right. Yeah, I saw this other clip where this woman she said she was on the spectrum. She had autoimmune problems and she had trouble losing weight. And she just said, well, because the idea of nutrient-dense foods and healthy eating was just so foreign to her because of her spectrum. I mean, it's when your why is smaller than your excuses, people will say anything.
100%.
We have many telehealth patients on the spectrum. We have many telehealth.
Yes.
We have people on the team that are neurodivergent that are just fine and healthy.
Yeah.
So the idea that if you can't be healthy around the spectrum, that lie that you've told yourself, could it be more difficult from a processing standpoint? Certainly. But yeah, that's to say that you have to be kept back and you have to be obese because you're on the spectrum is wild. And certainly with autoimmune conditions, I mean, become a telehealth patient of ours for a few months and watch us transform your life.
Yes.
Your autoimmune
Yes.
condition isn't going to keep you back. Your neurodivergence isn't going to keep you back.
Yes.
Correct.
I will speak to this because weight is definitely something that throughout my life has fluctuated. I know that not everybody's going to be able to speak to it from a personal experience, but I can tell you that the way my body looked after my third miscarriage didn't even look like me in the mirror. And if I could see how it'd be easy to get stuck there and be like, okay, well, you know, my HCG levels are not going down, my hormones are out of whack, like my body's holding on to inflammation. Did I love myself any less? No. I loved myself the same, but I knew it wasn't healthy.
Yeah, it was you knew it wasn't
I recognized
normal and
that-
healthy to be
Yes.
there at that place.
And
Yes.
then, like, you know, you go through really stressful periods of time. I remember after a few years after I got my implants in, everything was shifting. I could, like, my metabolic rate was not as good. Like, I was working out 6 days a week and the same things that were working before. And as soon as I got those out, inflammation went down. I'm not someone who's standing here because I'm 5'9" and super rail thin. I'm 5'1.5" that has had autoimmune disease and metabolic issues throughout my life. But I've used them not to love myself less or to punish myself for what I have gone through, but to recognize that my body was giving me a signal of something that I needed to pay attention to, because ultimately I cared more about being a wife, a mom, a grandma someday, and then I want to be present in my life. That's why I cared about it, not because of the way I looked. And so I speak from experience. I speak from someone who has gone through things, and I would never advocate for you to say that you don't love yourself, but I would never advocate for you to not make change that lines with your goals.
Well, it's because you had self-respect and worthiness that you made the change.
Yes, it's like, did I want to do carnivore for 6 flipping months? No, but I did it because my gut was a wreck and I needed to. And yes, there was weight loss as a side effect of that. That's not why I did it though.
One of my favorite things that you say, well, when you're talking about food and finding the foods that work best for you, is that removing foods that make you feel sick is not restriction, it's self-respect.
Yes, I love that.
We all have to acknowledge and understand that. And I would say that about, again, just in your health overall, like doing the things that help you feel good and live a healthy and full life is not restriction. It's self-respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having foods, what do you say, that don't love you back?
Yeah,
Like,
these are foods that don't love people back. And something that feeds chronic disease is not like a form of self-empowerment.
No.
It's like that's how deranged and upside down our culture is, that we've normalized things that are actually quite disordered.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like the rest of humanity would be, throughout human history, would laugh at us. Like
Yes.
the things that we do, we like poison ourselves and then cling to our little self-righteousness in doing so.
Yeah. And to me, that's where at the end of the day, this is not a term issue. Like, are you obese or are you fat-bodied? I agree with Jillian. Are you healthy or are you not? That's what I would want to be known as.
Yeah.
Are you healthy or are you not?
Yeah. And these people have an emotionally wounded, most of them probably are very hurting people. And because culture is not nice to people that look different. I get that. I understand that. But most of the United States, most of the Western world is actually overweight and obese. I mean, that's the...
What, 75%?
I mean, so they're actually the majority now. So they're not actually some small minority that they're being like picked on.
It's just you're glorifying it.
No,
and that's
yeah.
a problem.
Right.
Yeah. So I know you told everyone else to vote, but I'm just saying, if your therapist says fat-bodied, I'd find a new therapist.
Yeah, she said what she said. So I would agree.
If you ever called me fat-bodied, I'd probably throw something at you. Just saying.
All right, guys. If you want to learn more about our clinical work, the Telehealth Center, lots of free information, you can check it all out at drwillcole.com. We'll see you next time.